Hello guys, I hope you are doing well and welcome to my channel. Till now, I have discussed how to set up virtual labs using VMware Workstation or Oracle VirtualBox or WSL or using one of Microsoft Hyper-V. In today's session, I wanted to show you how we can set up some of our EC2 instances, and from there we can configure Ansible in a couple of minutes. Like in other virtual labs, you have to set up the virtual machine, install the OS, and then configure the packages, and you have to set up the inventory over there. And all those things will take a lot of time. And here we will be like setting up in very short time this environment, lab environment. So for this, you require to have one of the AWS account to access. So I'm just going with my AWS account and trying to create some EC2 instances, which will be setting up as one EC2 instance for Ansible control node and couple of nodes as managed nodes as clients to that control node to start our Ansible lab. So let us start with configuring some EC2 instances with Ansible, and where uh, initially I will be starting with Ansible controller node installation. So I think when you are there at your for the first time when you access your console, you will be going to the services and you can just find for EC2 over here, or otherwise you can just in the search you can search for EC2 and then just start accessing that EC2 service. And here if you see there are 0 instances running, and you can launch the instance from here. And once you go for launch EC2 instance, it will be asking for server name. So I'm just giving like KTFC, and which is something like short form from Kalash Attack Fusion Control Node. So just something like that. We can give any name and the server name for that. And the next option is we are selecting the OS, which is Amazon Linux. We have different types of OSs: Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, SUSE Linux, and Debian, which can be used from here. But for our lab, I'm using Amazon Linux, which will be eligible for free tier as well, and we can spin up very fast compared to other operating systems. And the architecture is 64-bit, and instance type I'm going for T3 dot micro. And here where we will be generating the key pair to log into our servers. We don't have any key pairs right now. I'm just generating a new key pair over here, and I'm just giving like Ansible, and it is going to be a PEM file, and just create a key pair. It is going to download the key immediately, and this key we will be using to connect our systems. So for now, we have created the key pair and used that key pair for this host to connect, and we have stored that file in our local downloads directory. Now, in the network settings, we have something like network VPC. VPC is our virtual private cloud where we are installing this instance. And if you want to have any subnets as preferred, we can select like which subnet you want to set up. So I wanted to go for default. I'm not going to change anything. And if you have any existing security group, you can select the existing security group. Or if you don't have any existing group, you have to create the security group. So as of now, it's freshly I'm setting up. I don't have any security group. I'm just setting SSH access as my new security group, and where you can see that inbound security group rules, which is type SSH and protocol TCP port 22, and it is coming from anywhere, means through public. Also, we can try to access. So uh, use to SSH access. So that's some description I'm giving, and then the configure storage. I'm just going the default one. I don't want to have any different types of storages here to access. So it's only for Ansible configuration I am going. So it's just going everything. And in advanced options, there is one specific section which is called user data. This is where we can write our startup scripts when you try to access your when you try to create your EC2 instances. By default, it's going to install. Here, I'm going to write some shell script which can be executed by default when the operating system is going to install. So what it is doing after installation, it's going to just like, let me write the script and I will explain you what we are going to do here. And it's a so this says it requires to use a bash. It's a shebang line what we will call it, and it is going to use the bash while executing bash terminal or bash scripts to execute this script. And once the OS is installed, the first option what we are going to do is we are going to update our system. So we are using -y to update it in the background without prompting for any confirmation, and then you can just as I'm setting this for Ansible control node, which requires the Ansible package, I'm just installing the Ansible package over here, and then I'm just setting up the host name, set host name as KTFCN. So I hope I have given the same name for this one, KTFCN, and that's what I'm setting up the host name over here. And even I will be adding some host entries in my etc host file, which means it will be like going to add these lines to our slash etc slash host file, which is something like local DNS configuration, something like that we call. And then if you want to have something like already mm, so this is something like for Ansible configuration we are doing, and when I access my EC2 instance, it will be like in a plain format. The terminal will be in white color. Complete this thing. So I'm just going and trying to customize my terminal over there. So it's going to give some fancy look for my terminal with some colorings and all. So that's the reason I'm putting this custom PS and adding that to my which user I'm going to access. So by default EC2 user which we will be accessing here. So this is some scripts which we can write while system is installing. These scripts will be executed by default. So it's basically like when you set up a virtual machine from your virtual labs using VMware, Workstation, or any other softwares. You have to install the operating system. When the operating system is up, you have to set up the host name, or you have to install the Ansible packages. All those things you have to do. So instead of doing it later on complete, we are creating a script file and running those commands from this script. So this is the prerequisites which we are going to give, and the number of instances which is I'm going to create as one. And that's all about the configuration and launch the instance. Let's see how what happens. It's creating security group and launch initiation. So successfully initiated launch of instance. So I just launched my instance, which is nothing but this KTFCN node, which is having in running state. And let me go inside and check. You can see here that there is some public IPv4 DNS is configured, and private IPv4 and public IPv4 address configured. And this is the instance ID, and the hostname type is this one, and private IP, all those things, and the instance type which we created, all those things which is coming over here. And the main thing is a security. When you go to security, you will have something like a security group which is added over here, which is SSH access which we created. And if you see the inbound rules, it says like security group rule ID, this is one, and port range 22 TCP and source is 000 anywhere to access this through SSH. So that's the configuration. And if you want to connect to this, we require this private IP or public IP we will be using while we try to contact from our public system or through our laptops using the internet. So now this instance is configured. let me go and access my terminal. On my laptop, I'm using some Debian. And to access this, you need to have like uh, one of the PEM file which we have downloaded. And my PEM file is nothing but which I have downloaded recently. The existing one is a different. So I just I will just take this content of my Ansible PEM file and copy this one and just edit my existing one, which is the old. I am trying to remove that because that is not the existing one. It was used previously, so it will not work with that. So I have added the new PEM file which we had downloaded. And now, if you want to access to your mission and EC2, oh, we have to give the identity of the PEM file certificate key pair, which SSH key pair which we have generated, and use the EC2 user at and whichever that what do we call public IPv4 address will take, and just SSH to that. So it's asking for some confirmation to add that host to known host. So if you see, normally this terminal will be in completely white format. I wanted to have some differentiation like this, username and the host name and the date format. So that's what I gave the customized PS terminal access, which made me to uh, get this type of this one. And if you check Ansible hyphen version, by default it might have installed this Ansible as well. So that's it. With this, you have set up your Ansible and you have set up your instance all together while installing the OS itself. So that's how we very quickly we have set up our Ansible controller node. And now let me set up my EC2 manage nodes. I mean Ansible manage nodes. So just go back to EC2 dashboard and launch instance. I'm going to set up now our EC2 manage nodes. So something like KFTC manage node one. I mean Kalash Tech Fusion KFTC. Is it KTFM? KTFM and one something like that. So Kalash Fusion MN manage nodes, and this is will be the first node, and which I'm going to use the Amazon Linux and same architecture, and then I will be using some T3 dot micro the type for instance type, and I'm going to use the same key pair which I have generated previously so that I can access that in the Ansible host while connecting to that, and no need to provide the passwords or all those things. So, yeah, and it's a secure way to use this key-based authentication. And I wanted to get a SSH access, so I'm using my existing security group to access SSH, and that's how it's done. And now in the user default section, it doesn't require to have our Ansible installation, but it requires to set up the host names and all those things. That's what I'm going to write the script now over here. And hostname ctl set hostname, and this is the what we gave the name while launching the instance, and just echo that to 0.0.1 as ktfmn1, which is our host name, and sudo t-a, which is this command what it's doing. Whichever the echo it's coming output of that, it's going and writing to slash, I mean appending this entry to that etc host file. And that's what the host name set. And the other one is I wanted to use my custom PS terminal. So that's one. And I have put my custom PS terminal output over here. And that's it, and launch. The instance will be launched. So, and let me create one more instance because I wanted to add both together. Um, in the Ansible controller node to proceed further. And my next managed node is second managed node. And I'm using Amazon Linux. It's the default options which I used for previous one. And the same thing. And key pair the existing one. And a security group, the existing security group. And advanced details, go to user data section and add the same script again, which I have added in my initial previous node configuration. And then just start the setup. This is the second host. So KTFMN2 and echo 127.0.0.1 and KTFMN2 hyphen slash etc slash host file. And once that is done, I'm going to put my custom PS terminal output, I mean customization of my terminal and launch the instance. That's all. Our instance will be launched. This is the second, I mean the first instance, and this will be my second instance details. So client manage one, manage two nodes, and this is done. Now we have quickly set up our control node, Ansible node, and two clients to access from there. And once this is done, what we have to do, just to check it out, if I can access Ansible. Where is this file gone? Okay, I think I have kept that in my previous from my Debian mission where I try to connect from my laptop. We have to create this Ansible PEM file over here. I mean, copy the content of our certificate details over here. Let me take that content and put it here in my Ansible controller node so that you can authenticate them to the systems or clients with that same thing. SSH-i Ansible. It should be like 400, the permissions for this. Yeah, that's done. Now you have to go to SSH command using this Ansible PEM file. EC2 user at what is the private IP address of this. So as of now, we haven't set up that host names. And let me connect to this. This is my manage node 1. So that's all. We are inside our manage node 1 without any username and password authentication asking. It doesn't asking for any username and password with a key we are able to enter inside. Now I wanted to access it with the usernames. So to access with the username, I mean server name, it should be set up in our etc host file, which is used as local DNS. So if you see here, this is the entry which is added from our script, which is for this one. And let me take my, I think this is the private IP address of my this first managed node, and that must be like KTFMN1. And the second node details, I wanted to get it from here, the private IP address of this, and then the second node name. You can copy it from here as well, which we have set up. So now this is done. Now let me try. I wanted to use EC2. Previously we tried with IP address of manage node 1. Let me try with that. Oh, could not result. KT. So it's a different host name I gave other than what is there. Yeah. So I'm able to log in with my host name as well. For initial state, it will ask like to add it to the known host that for the first time when you try to SSH. So that's what it's showing over here, and we are able to connect with that. And let me try with the second host as well. So we are inside. So I think it doesn't rebooted. So is something wrong with this? We are not getting that. Okay, I will check it out later. Now I'm able to get that mission configuration over here, and we have two manage nodes and one control node. Now we have to just check it out. Ansible, we already checked. We have the Ansible version installed. So if you see, it's a 2.15.3, the Ansible version, and the next thing what we have to set up is to access our Ansible clients from this one. We have to set up the inventory, which is nothing but Ansible hosts. So this is the one where the default inventory will be available for us. And once you go inside, as it's a freshly installed, there is no host available on this. So I'm just giving something like CLI and clients group, and here I will be adding like couple of entries to access our SSH configuration through SSH configuration, or the host using Ansible, everything without prompting for username and password. So this is what I'm just using like hostname of manage node one, KTFMN one, and then I'm going to use my SSH private key private key pair, key file, which we have generated as ansible.pem file, which is available in my control node home directory. So that's a home EC2 user ansible.pem. So I use that key file, Ansible SSH key file, and then if you want to connect with that host name or that host, which you have mentioned KTFMN1, we need to provide the IP address of that. So what is the IP address of first managed node is this is the one private IP. So I'm just giving that IP, and we are just giving the user, Ansible user equal to EC2 user. So that's what it is, and I'm just adding the second one as well. So if I go, the host name is this, and this key file will be the same which we'll be using. And the second node IP is what is the IP address of this? This is the IP address. So let us change that IP address, and the username is same username we'll be using. So now we have set up that Ansible host inventory file as well. So that means we have configured the managed nodes to be accessed from our control node, which is the Ansible install node. So just let me check and this whether we have configured it properly or not. So for that, like something like we have Ansible hyphen M, which is for module we call it. In the next session, I'll be explaining about that modules, ad hoc commands, which is used all those things. And this is what Ansible hyphen M ping all, which is trying to connect to your list of the nodes which is provided on in our default inventory file. So just let me give that. So it's just trying to configure. Yeah. So initially it's trying to add that KTFM to the host name for this. And just let me try one more time. So this is how it's coming. So you can see that it's getting the successful ping message. And if you see, we are getting some interpreter, I mean Python interpreter warning messages. If you want to suppress that, we can use this export to Ansible Python interpreter path, and then we will not be getting that warning message, and you can see that successfully we are getting uh, KTFMN2 success, ping and pong we are getting. So the connection is successful. Now the Ansible is set up. We can run any automation task to those nodes from here, and that's how we can set up our Ansible lab in Amazon EC2 instances or Amazon Sandbox environment to do our testing or lab purpose or learning purpose. And I hope this is very informative for you, and you like this session, and you got some required information how to set up Ansible lab on AWS very quickly compared to struggling with virtual labs, all those things. And I will be giving some background information about Ansible ad hoc commands with some of the examples in the next session. And I hope you join me in that session, and you will be getting some information how to run Ansible commands from your control node. That means from Ansible node, and manage this clients from there using those commands. And then I will be showing a couple of Ansible playbooks to execute after that and another session. So I will see you in my next session. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.